Welcome to Esoterica the Podcast, where we discuss the obscure, offbeat, and unusual. I'm Chris Schultz.
And I'm Aaron Christian.
Today's episode is brought to us by Viridian Dynamics. Diversity. Just the thought of it makes these white people smile. We believe everyone works best when they work together, even if they're just standing around. Just like we enjoy varieties of foods, we enjoy varieties of people, even though we can't eat them. At Viridian Dynamics, we're committed to a multi-ethnic workplace. You can shake on it. Viridian Dynamics. Diversity. Good for us. So, what do we have in store for our audience today, Aaron?
Well, we are going to be listening to singer-songwriter Sidney Gish's second album called No Dogs Allowed. It was released at the end of 2017. So Sidney Gish is also earned the 2018 Album of the Year award for No Dogs Allowed at the Boston Music Awards, which may make it seem like she is not esoteric, but she is, because I said so. No, I think the style definitely fits a little bit more of our theme, and on top of that, she's not super well known. You know, she's still pretty small time, mixes a lot of her own stuff, a lot of her own music.
Cool.
So a lot of fun to listen to. And you know how I am with music, like I like people that are kind of memes, you know, like a meme person. Mm-hmm. And she's a total meme, and I love it. I don't even know her, and I like her. So.
And she's a local girl, currently studying at Northeastern University, according to her wiki.
I believe she graduated from Northeastern already, but she looks like she started her career from Northeastern.
Nice.
So unless there's any ado from Mr. Christopher, we're going to get rolling on the first track called Bird Tutorial.
Teaching a parakeet to talk is fun. Teaching a parakeet to talk is fun, but the old method took time. This record is specially designed to teach any healthy parakeet to talk, any normal parakeet to talk, using a scientific method that is far superior, because a carefully trained voice, a scientific voice.
Wow, that's a heck of a way to open up an album.
Yeah, so the sample is from a Hearts Mountain 1950s audio like parakeet training record, which I do have a little sample of that we can listen to if we want to. I
really wish that there were those were still made, that was a thing.
I know, right? Parakeet training records. So I love that she pulled this out. Like we talked about meme type of people, like what a meme to open up the album like that. There's just no explaining that to people. You know, there's no deeper meaning here, and I love it.
And she didn't. I don't think we heard her, or maybe a little bit in the background towards the end there, but it was just.
Yeah, she was playing the instruments.
Well, yeah.
But props to Sidney for that one. 'Cause, first time I heard that, I was like, all right, yeah.
Now I want to know if she's got a parakeet and if it's well trained or not.
I want to know the story behind where she found this. But, anyways, not too much to dive into there.
But an old box of your like grandparents' records.
Yeah.
That's like my How to Strip for Your Husband. Like I don't know where that originated and how it ended up in my collection.
That's
but
awesome.
There it is.
So our next track is called Sin Tribe.
Two-faced bitches never lie, and before I never lie. Diagram this and triangle for me tonight, because I don't know what to say. A sickness by another name wouldn't be sweet either, but with luck it would at least look much more tame.
So she's a smart girl.
Well, she went to college.
That doesn't make you smart. Yeah, well, I mentioned that because they're showboating a little bit. Maybe that's just my impression. But there's like a lot going on in this song. There's some intellectual stuff, and it's almost like she's like, hey, look at me. I'm smart.
Yeah.
I can drop some shit on you.
There's a lot of high-level intellectual things, and then there's also like this spoken interlude of, what is this, Improve Your Personality from a 1951 educational film that was shown for like 30 years.
Yeah, so this is huge. So this is now the second thing that's got a track from the 50s. So I'm wondering if one of three scenarios. Either she spent some time on Internet Archives to is just a fan of stuff from that era, or 3, like had a box of films and records from the 50s that she went through. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm curious, and I'm not dissing her for dropping the knowledge thing, but where the first song was nothing but samples, and then the second one comes in and it's like drop, drop, drop.
Yeah.
She's
I think she earns the credibility back that people may immediately lose if you think about it in terms of, you just throw out a song with just like parakeets talking. Like there's some jerk music critics out there that don't want to give people credit for doing things like that. So, and
it's interesting. So I had never heard of the term anti-folk before. So I looked that up, and anti-folk is a musical genre that promotes songwriting over technique, and apparently emerged in the 80s as a sort of reaction to the remnants of the 60s folk scene, which is very insular and sort of very pretentious. So it's almost like a punk approach to folk, which is kind of cool. So I'm immediately enamored. I'm like, oh, I like this.
Yeah. Huge props to Sidney for what she's doing here, because it's just... it's one of those things where, and she said this in an interview, and I probably won't say it verbatim, but the expectation is that female artists, will have a particular sound. And I think she's breaking that barrier here, that she doesn't sound like every other chick on the radio. Yeah. And it's very relatable too. I mean, she's just talking about being a college student, quite honestly, and being a person in their teens and early 20s. So, just relatable conversation.
Oh, what do we get for the next track?
Good Magicians.
I know a few.
Prestidigitation.
Well, that's hand magic, but if they're they're an illusionist if they do it on stage.
Oh, good to know. Well, let's listen to some good magic.
Flying around a corner, scrutinizing all the screens that you're on. Well, naturally, I want to know your secret. You figured out something that you are now expressing through manipulation of a master degree. Just with sleight of hand, you make the whole room vanish. Yeah, I study good magician. 20th paragraph, I'm trying to entertain a deeper understanding of whatever it is you're on. An absolute basket casing, unassuming basket casing.
I love that song.
Christmas wrapping by the waitresses.
Yeah.
That's the sound I got. And that's the only thing I don't like about it, is there was that like megaphone kind of sound that gave it that vibe. Yeah. And I don't want to relate it to that, because that's not what this is.
Yeah. It's interesting. When the song first came on, the sound of the guitar, I think it has this very distinct bright sound to it, and it's distorted, but it's not fuzzy. It's like a clean distortion. Overdriven?
Yeah. It's basically when you push the signal through the guitar so much that it kicks it into natural distortion.
I like it. It's bright and crisp.
Yeah. Fun song. All right, so moving along, our next song is called Sophisticated Space.
What a sophisticated space. What a well-educated population. What socialite would go donate what it takes to own this place for 60 days. In a sophisticated congregation, there's a collection of a space that puts on banquets that
So lyrically, Sidney reminds me of Suzanne Vega.
Okay.
I don't know if that name means anything.
Means nothing to me.
She was a late 80s, early 90s. Who else? Alternative was the genre then, but probably would fall into the anti-folk category. My name is Luca. I live on the second floor. No.
No. But it's good for people that know who she is. Daniel Johnston.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just saying it.
Interesting.
And like we're pretty far removed from that, but there's something about it. And maybe it's the really self-produced vibe, because she's obviously doing Logic, the program Logic, which is basically what the program we're using right now on steroids. So I don't know. I mean, it's not. I'm really stretching saying that.
But I think I catch the spirit of what you're trying to say. And she's singing about herself like this is apparently a song I'm presuming about Northeastern.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we talked about her T-shirt a second ago, right? She's got that shirt, The Snail's a Bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Daniel Johnston's thing? It's that, like, frog with giant... I'm looking at it right now, that frog with giant ears.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think, like, deep down, like, there's, like, not the schizophrenic side of him, but, like, that part of it is there, you know? And I think, in a way...
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, if we ever get the chance to talk to Sydney, I should ask her. She's a Daniel Johnston fan.
I just lost my train of thought here. Okay, perfect. Our next song is called I'm Filled with Steak and Cannot Dance.
I love it already.
So what practical matters must I settle first? What practical matters must be put down? Which ones to shoot with tranquilizers? Leave them falling on the ground. It made into a bearskin rug, but get this. The bearskin is a list.
You're a Pink Floyd fan.
I am a fan of Pink Floyd.
You like Flan?
I don't like Flan. I'm on record as hating Flan, but anyway.
The Wall is an album by Pink Floyd, and In the Flesh is the first track and also another track on it. The rhythm guitar parts in that song, that do, the tone is exactly the same as her guitar in this. So I'm curious as to how she's building her tone, whether she's using built-in amps in Logic or if she's using pedals in a certain order, but it sounds very similar. So I wonder if that's an inspiration or if she just liked the sound or something. But kudos.
I'm curious as to what her musical inspirations are.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot here, you know, that feed into it.
It's layered.
It is. It's like an onion. Onions have layers.
That they do.
Yeah. Shout out Shrek. Well, moving on. Our next song is Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Ooh, Shel Silverstein.
Is that so fine with me? Throw it on the line of reality and the mud in your mind. Where the sidewalk ends is the only place we can be good friends. I wanna circle you like a rabbit cord in both my shoes. But fun will just stay.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to take a minute to talk about the awesome folks at Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way. In fact, it's the way that we make a podcast. Let me explain.
It's free.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
And you can make money from your podcast. Best part, no minimum listenership.
Ooh. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
It's so cool. We found the service. We started using it. We're making podcasts.
Yeah, making podcasts, making money, having a good time.
So listen, you want to get you out there. You want to be heard. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Thank you. So it sounds like it could have been the theme song to a kids movie.
Yeah, and I'm presuming that Where the Sidewalk Ends is a reference to Shel Silverstein.
Well, considering the first part of it is I want to write a book and put it in your mailbox. When you go to pick it up, you would send it back to Amazon. That maybe that's in that vein.
Yeah. If you were a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer. All right, that's a little Shel Silverstein. Right.
Creepy looking guy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What's that really famous one by him that everybody knows?
Where the Sidewalk Ends?
No, not that one.
Oh, my God. The Giving Tree.
That's the one, yeah. Yeah, I had that book in my closet when I was a kid. And sometimes my mom would flip it out so that Shel Silverstein was staring at me. And I had to turn it around because it was scaring me.
I remember one time coming down off of being high. I was at my dad's house, and there was a jar of Paul Newman spaghetti sauce on the shelf, and Paul Newman was staring at me and was just freaking me out.
Well, our next track is called Mouth Log, and I know when Sidney performed on Audio Tree, I believe. On Audio Tree, the girl that was running that said that was her favorite song, and she loved it lyrically. And I would have to agree that it is a really lyrically good song. It's not my favorite song in this album. We'll get to that. But Mouth Log is a really good song, worth noting. Let's listen to Mouth Log.
All right.
On my phone, I got a list of food I ate and people I kissed, and because of this, I'm losing weight. I'm batting my eyes like siren bait, just like a hate watch series. I catalog life dearly, dreary how-tos on half-assed self-abuse.
It is good lyrically. That's some good stuff right there.
I'm a little embarrassed to say I just realized why the title is the title.
Mouth log.
Yeah. Because what you put in your mouth, you eat. Who you kiss, your mouth.
Yeah. Oh, mouth log.
You may have a log of what you've done. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I was like, oh, get it now.
I was chuckling to myself with the opening verse, just like a hate watch series.
Mm-hmm.
So, his friend Mark, him and I used to work at the same place we work now. And back in the day, kids, in the newspaper, there were daily comic strips. And Mark hated Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, with a passion. And the reason was, like, for one plot point, it would take like a month and a half for the story to progress. It was infuriating. And he would go on a rant about how much he hated Amazing Spider-Man. But every single day I would go, hey, Mark, what happened on Amazing Spider-Man today? And after he, like, exploded and had a freak out, he would tell me exactly what happened in that day's strip. So it's like hate watching a series, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there was... and groups for memes where everyone fights and tries to make straight white boys cry. So weird Facebook groups. It's funny to think now how, given the way that the world works now for some reason, that just normal Facebook groups become the weird ones also because they turn into just cesspools.
And that's the thing, like reading the little annotation about this, and it sounds like in some other songs she references groups where like she was probably going in and shit posting, trying to get people worked up. Yeah. And now that's like in town groups and just pretty much any group. Right. People are doing that, and it's stupid. And
I think another thing worth mentioning too is on 3% on hikikomori, which is it's a Japanese term for basically being socially isolated, which everyone is that right now, right?
Yeah, well, and it's interesting actually is the hikikomori. There's a documentary out. Mm-hmm. Or it might be a series. I just read about this. So it's the Japanese equivalent of hoarding.
Ah, okay.
Like in America, generally when people hoard, like we probably, and I'm making a gross generalization here, we generally have larger living spaces here. Yeah. So when people hoard, it's it's a bigger thing, but it's like a silent epidemic in Japan. Just interesting to hear that referenced.
Yeah. So really, lyrically, I don't want to say dense, but there's a lot of moving parts, and I think they work really well together.
Yeah, and it had mentioned, or somebody mentioned when I was reading about Sidney in general, she sort of got this self-deprecating manner in her lyrics, and this is definitely like sort of like a listicle takedown of yourself, or just not even a takedown, but just a commentary on herself.
Yeah. So, speaking of Sidney, we're going to listen to our next song called I Eat Salads Now.
It pains me to say, but maybe I'll grow out of it. I'm a businessman, I don't waste time on any shit. These sweet instincts run my life. There's no progress, just good times. Bitch, I'm wasted, just kidding, I'm high.
Another fan favorite is this song. It's pretty literal. It's talking about being tired and
Yeah, I was reading the annotation and like I think some people may have scratched a little too deeply at this.
yeah, that's the struggle I have with Genius, and I know you do too, is that they just try and dig deeper into things that aren't necessarily in need of it.
Yeah, like I what I'm getting from the song, I don't get that she's thinking she's already peaked and then can't follow this up. It's more like, I'm 20, I'm becoming an adult, and I hate to say it, but this might just be a phase,
Yeah.
Like I've done this, I've done it good, but I might be on to other things.
Yeah, and well, clearly, I mean, this record I think did better than the one before it too. So even so, like that feeling is not true at all.
Yeah.
I think she went on a nationwide tour last year, but when that was still allowed. So, props to her. I mean, she's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, so our next track is Rat of the City.
So your taste is the best, like the books that you read, but I'm not a lot like you. When we act really blank and stand in the same places, the standing's all we do. And I don't mean to say there's a vat from my brain, but I'm not a lot like you. If I'm floating alone, then the liquid's my home, and at least I've got.
So this probably has very little to do with the song. But I was thinking of how interesting it would be to play a video game where the outcome of the game is entirely predicated on how you interact with non-playable characters. Like the first NPC you run across, if you choose the wrong thing, like you're going to lose the game. Your whole path is going that way.
It's kind of like you've seen Bandersnatch, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Well, it's based on decisions you make, which I guess is any game.
Yeah.
But I feel like, it's kind of the same idea, because no matter what, you have to make a set of decisions, or else you.
Yeah, usually I think with the, especially if it's like an RPC, the decisions are at pivotal points that dictate what branch the story is going to go on. But the NPCs, the non-playable characters, are usually there just to advance you from place to place or cause a side mission. But if you just put it in that how you interacted with those minor, more irrelevant characters is actually what was going to impact the direction of the game, would just be interesting.
Back to the song for a second. I get that Pink Floyd vibe again, like Dark Side of the Moon, kind of.
Oh, I could see that. What's funny was I was thinking Beatles.
That too.
Like a Lennon-esque. And in Sydney, if you're listening, if I suppose it would be flattering to be compared to the Beatles at all. But if I'm saying that you're like Lennon, then I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah. End of Dark Side of the Moon. Crap, what's track is it? Yeah,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Brain something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brain damage.
Brain damage. Yeah, and the other one, Eclipse.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I totally. It didn't occur to me until you said that, but that totally get that vibe.
Totally. All right, so our next track is "Not But For You, Bunny."
Genius. I love the fact that the one annotation on this has gotten one downvote. Because she did something stupid in front of someone she liked and was haunted by it afterward. Like, oh, your insight is just amazing. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Frangwins.
I tried to bleach my mind the whole damn night that night. Is that, I want to bleach my mind of this freaking annotation.
Because I don't think that's what was going on here. Actually, I'm going to have to say that this is one, I couldn't even make a stab at what's going on here.
I mean, the only thing I could take a stab at is the line with the bad annotation on it. And, maybe she liked somebody and, like made a goof.
Yeah.
And when she went to that.
I will have to say
pizzeria.
that the line bubble bath of entropy, I fucking love. Let that be my 1F for this episode. That's a great line, and I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna appropriate it at some point.
I'm gonna appropriate it. Yeah, and I kind of get careers are on the phone, but I don't care about it. Because I feel like there's that expectation in college that like you have to go into whatever career you choose because you're already here and you put all this money into it. But why do you care? Especially going to school in Boston. I mean, I go to school in Boston, and there's like this expectation, probably at Northeastern too, because that's a pretty decent school. That you're gonna find a career from that school.
Well,
in that area.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what Sidney was studying at Northeastern, because Northeastern is it's like a career focused school. I think that's part of their selling point is all their graduates are placed into jobs.
Right.
And I don't know that they have a indie rock anti-folk musician career path.
Yeah, I thought I knew, but I honestly don't remember what she was studying. I thought she said it in an interview or something, but yeah, I get it.
I know a lot of people that have gone to Northeastern for criminal justice. Which, if you want to be in law enforcement, I guess that's the degree you get.
Moving along. So the next song is Persephone, which is a Greek goddess. I'm actually not going to play the version that's on the album, and I'm going to play a live version she did because I think it showcases her talent a little more. And that is live from that she did with Slap. So I'm going to play that instead. And yeah.
Okay.
Seeds, winter in Greece. Please don't visit me, Persephone.
As somebody who chronically mispronounces words, even when I know the correct pronunciation, I really, really love this song.
This live version, I wish this was the album version because she does it so well. She's really talented, and I think she showcases it a lot better here than on the record.
Yeah, this is spot on.
I think that that live version also was before the record came out. So,
also reminds me of a funny story. When I was in college, I took a semester off and took some of my core classes at Quincy Community College, because it wasn't Quincy University then; it was just Quincy Community College.
You mean Quincy College?
Is it Quincy College?
Not Quincy University.
Okay, they were trying to be. It's a shitty school.
It is. It's bad. Yeah, I think they lost accreditation.
And it wasn't good when I went. So I was taking my English 2 class there, and the professor, and I wish I remembered his name because I hated him with a passion, but he starts the class off and he says, "Today we're going to start reading Antigone, or as the rest of the world knows, Antigone." And I just shook my head, and I'm like, this is going to be a bad semester. I actually body checked him in the mall months later, I was dressed as the Easter Bunny. And I recognized him out of the corner of my eye, and I gave him like a full body check.
So if you remember back to April, we did an episode where we mentioned the Beaster Bunny.
The Beaster Bunny, yeah.
Same time frame?
Same time frame, because I only did that gig once. It's not a repeat performance.
Have you thought about doing that again this spring? Or being a Santa this year?
Well, I fear that there's no Santas in the mall this year. There probably won't be any Easter Bunnies this year again.
No, there are. The Plaza had some.
Did they?
Yeah, they're just like 6 feet away. You have like stuff in front of the guy. Yeah. So
let's get a photo adjacent to Santa.
Yeah, you don't sit on his lap. You just sit in front of him.
Oh my God, COVID-19. I suppose if I had time on my hand, I would consider doing it again, but I would like to think that they have much more rigorous background checks. Not that I wouldn't pass, but I mean, when I applied for the Easter Bunny job, they pretty much just said to me, "You don't like kids that way, do you?" I'm like, no.
Wow, how times have changed.
They have.
Well, Persephone is one of my favorite tracks on the album.
That's good song.
I also like the next track called Imposter Syndrome, so we'll give that a spin.
Just watch me move and fall away. Nobody even knows my name, and no one suspects that I'm not fine, and nobody outs behavioral Frankenstein. Just look at Victor in LA and sit with the Y at U of A, and all the majors at the labels reboot as soon as I am able.
Was that the sound of the T at the end of the song?
Well, it said Flight.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just weird because the furnace came on at the same time, and it was this rushing noise, and it just sounded.
There was a rushing noise at the end of the song.
Okay, because it sounded to me like being on the T.
Maybe. She did record most of this herself, so I would give her that.
But yeah, I guess they did say Flight. I was kind of thinking about the behavioral Frankenstein line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that on Genius, a number of people who may have been psych majors kind of weighed in on a lot of what's going on in the song. Obviously,
Right.
imposter syndrome, so we're talking about some psychological issues. Nobody outs behavioral Frankenstein. And somebody's mentioning that, especially with an imposter syndrome, people tend to feel like their personality is not their own, but cobbled together from pieces of other people. So my impression would be what she's driving here with this line is if you start with a clean slate and you're in a new place, people don't necessarily pick up that your personality quirks may be from other people. Like if you think of it, if you're with your family and friends and you start using a catchphrase that like your Aunt Ginny uses, like your family might call you out and be like, dude, why you?
Yeah.
But if people don't know you, they wouldn't recognize.
I think it's just you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, imposter syndrome's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, I like the idea. I mean, so the cover of this album is made in Microsoft Paint. And it's a guy walking basically himself as a dog, which is hilarious, one. But two, I mean, most of the song is like talking about, it's almost like being your own dog, which I know is not, it's a very surface level thinking of it. I mean, you're trying to, what's a human being got to be like? What's a way just to be competent? So it's not about being your own dog, but it's, how to be a human, how to be a better person.
Yeah, and you know what? So I think a lot of people suffer with this. Like, how are people supposed to be? Here's the thing that I've gathered out of my experience, of my human experience. There is no way that people are supposed to be. None of us know what the hell we're doing. It's just that the majority of us have figured something out, so we create a norm. But in reality, I don't think there's any rule book for how people are supposed to be. We're just animals.
Just animals.
Just animals.
Well, our last track on the album is called New Recording 180, in parentheses, New Year's Eve. I totally get the New Recording 180 thing because that is when you use your iPhone to record something. It typically will call it New Recording and then a number. So that is an iPhone recording layout kind of thing. I know because I have like New Recording 9 million whatever in my phone, and they're all just shitty guitar licks I came up with at one point, so I wouldn't forget them. And I have maybe used 2% of them, Nice. So I feel that on a personal level, Sydney. So let's listen to New Recording 180, New Year's Eve.
Welcome to the 11th hour. So what in the world have you done? You can't just daydream at towers, so build a hut just for fun.
So, if we ever need a umbrella company for the Esoterica brand,
Yeah.
can we please be 11th Hour Productions?
Okay.
Because that's like I don't know about you, but that's my entire life. Everything's done in the 11th hour.
Yep. Yeah.
And honestly, like, things might be a little more polished if they weren't, but I think that's when the best comes.
I tend to agree. So I hadn't actually listened to that song in its entirety before, so I enjoyed it. That riff is killer. Like, she just basically finger picking that. So
I can see why I should play around with that for like a year, trying to figure out, what am I going to do with this?
yeah, I get that feeling. Like, it's a new recording 180 in your phone, and you're just like, I want to do something with it, but like what?
And I would think, again, not being the musician here, like if you get like a killer riff, like you kind of want to make sure you're doing something good with it. You don't want to stick it in a shit song.
Right. Before we move on to the ending of our episode, I do want to play. I wasn't going to because it's not on Spotify, but then I thought, what the hell? The No Dogs Allowed bonus tracks. The bonus track on No Dogs Allowed is the last track. It's a bonus track. Only available to people who bought the CD or on this YouTube video that she posted. So we're going to listen to the bonus track of No Dogs Allowed, which is about 41 seconds long.
This is the bonus track on No Dogs Allowed. Burning 100 discs inside of my house. Been in New York a fortnight. Came back to stay tonight and print everything I needed out. Speaking of limericks for the new year now. And for the bonus track on No Dogs Allowed. Thank you for purchasing this compact disc kind of thing. This song isn't on the internet. It's just for you and now it ends.
I think we mentioned this before in an earlier episode.
I think we did.
Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever has an interlude in the middle of it. Where
Right after Running Down a Dream.
Yeah, or he says, attention CD listeners, this is the part where if you had this on record or cassette, you'd have to get up and turn it over. Similar sort of vein.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. Although I think it's kind of ironic because she's like, this song's not on the internet, it's on YouTube.
Well, that's how these things end. Sort of, I guess, on a similar vein to the hidden message in the wall, where if you play the album backwards, it's Roger saying, "Congratulations, you found the secret message."
Yeah. So that's Sidney Gish, and that's No Dogs Allowed. Check out Sidney on Bandcamp or wherever you like to put noises in your ears. She is fantastic and a super duper fun person to listen to and a meme.
Yeah, it's interesting. So music comes to you in many different ways. I know, like, I apologize for that. On the last episode, 2 episodes ago, when we were talking about Jim White, and I had a whole story about how that came into my life. This is an album where if I had heard this on my own out in the wild, I might not really have paid much attention. But my first introduction being, the Esoterica dive into it, I really dig this, and I'll be listening to Sidney.
And I found this record browsing around, looking at Modern Baseball, which we've talked about before, is one of my favorite bands. And their manager is actually Sidney Gish's manager too. And I was like, I like Modern Baseball, and I thought I'd check her out. And instantly I was like, okay, yeah, no, we gotta talk about her because she deserves it.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to spend some time checking out this anti-folk genre because there's just so much.
Might have to buy a Sidney Gish T-shirt.
The snail's a bitch.
The snail's a bitch.
Yeah, I love it. Or Sydney, if you want to trade T-shirts, well, it would probably be a trade.
I will gladly trade a T-shirt, Sydney. I have 11, and I'll take one.
That's right. Aaron has 11. I have 10.
So thank you for spending some time with us this fine day, night, drive, whatever you like to listen to my voice talk.
Right on. So next week is Christmas week.
It is.
And we have a very special treat.
We do.
For our listeners. Do you want to spoil that? just really isn't spoiling. So
we're going to sing Christmas carols.
Oh, yeah, that would be 50% awful and 50% not so bad.
I think together it's 100% awful.
Yeah. So next week we'll be taking a trip back in time to,
that time frame.
Yeah, probably like 79 or 80, and listening to Christmas in the Stars, Miko's Star Wars themed Christmas album. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and no, never mind. John Bon Jovi on that one?
Yes, he is. In fact, we'll go into more detail, but Star Wars is a cultural phenomenon and responsible for many, many, many firsts. And Star Wars is responsible for launching Bon Jovi.
So remember that Darth Vader is the reason why Living on a Prayer is sung at every bar.
Right.
So thank you for spending some time with us. Visit esotericathepodcast.com for all your esoteric needs. We have t-shirts, buy them.
Yeah, check out our various social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We're in discussions about posting more content, and certainly having more subscribers would inspire us to put more content out.
Talking about you, Fozzie.
Yeah,
we
haven't heard from you. One of our favorite followers on YouTube. So until next week,
stay esoteric.